Your attic hits 140 degrees on a summer afternoon, and it is not because your house is old, it is because your attic cannot breathe in. Every attic in America is built the same way. Warm air leaves through vents at the top, and cool air is supposed to come in through slots under the edge of the roof, down where the gutters are. That is the whole system, and it only works if both halves are open. Here is the problem. In millions of houses, the openings at the bottom are packed solid with insulation. Not damaged, not missing, buried. And the part that will annoy you is that it happened on purpose, by people who were paid to make your house more comfortable. The repair costs about $2 a piece. It takes an afternoon, and you can tell in 60 seconds tonight with a flashlight whether your house has the problem. Stay with me, because there is also one kind of attic where doing this would be a serious mistake. And you need to know which kind you own before you touch anything. Here is how we do things on this channel. We do not fake a project, and we do not read the back of a package. We work from building code, from the physics, and from what tradespeople have documented for decades about what goes wrong in real attics. Every number gets a name attached to it. And when a fix does not work, we say so, because a fix that is wrong for your house is not a bargain at any price. If you are new here, this channel digs up the way houses used to work before everything needed a subscription. The subscribe button costs nothing. Start with the machine you already own, because your attic is one, and almost nobody has had it explained. Go outside and look at the edge of your roof, the part that hangs past the wall. Underneath that overhang there is a panel, and in most houses that panel has slots or small round holes in it. Those are the intake vents. Now look at the peak. There is either a long ridge vent running the length of the roof, or a round louver in the gable wall, or a couple of box vents near the top. Those are the exhaust. The system runs on nothing at all. Hot air rises, leaves through the top, and as it leaves it pulls fresh outdoor air in through the bottom, and a slow river of air washes up the underside of the roof deck and carries the heat out. No motor, no electricity. Your grandfather's house did this, and so does yours, at least on paper. And now the important part, the part that decides whether your bedroom sleeps at 85 or 78. That river only flows if both ends are open. Exhaust without intake is a straw with your thumb over the end. The air at the top wants to leave, there is nothing to replace it, and the flow stops. The attic stops washing. The heat stacks up, and a 130-degree attic becomes a 150-degree attic, sitting on top of your ceiling like a stove. There is one more thing happening out at that edge that almost nobody explains, and it matters for what comes later. The incoming air arrives cold and fast right where the insulation is thinnest, and if there is nothing holding it up off the insulation, that stream of outdoor air blows straight into the fiberglass at the edge of your ceiling. Insulation works by holding still air. Air moving through it carries the heat away, so the outer 2 or 3 feet of your ceiling insulation can be doing far less than the label claims. Quietly, in every season. Builders have a name for that: wind washing, and the same little part that keeps the airway open is the part that shields the insulation from the wind. One inexpensive piece, 2 separate jobs, and both of them are invisible from inside your house. So how did the intake get blocked? Here is the honest history, and it is not a conspiracy. It is a sequence of reasonable decisions that added up to a bad one. Houses built before the 1970s were under-insulated by today's standards, and after the oil shocks, the country went on an insulation binge that has never really stopped. That was the right idea. More insulation on an attic floor is one of the best investments in a house. But look at the shape of an attic for a second. The roof slopes down to meet the floor at the edges, so the space out there gets shorter and shorter until it pinches shut, and the intake vents are right at that pinch. A crew is up there with a hose blowing cellulose, or dragging bats across the joists, and the job they were hired to do is cover every square inch of that floor. So they push the insulation all the way out to the edge, right into the pinch, and the intake vent disappears under it. The floor is fully covered, the inspector's checklist is satisfied, and the attic's lungs are packed with fiberglass. Nobody did it out of malice. The person blowing insulation was hired to insulate, not to ventilate, and in a lot of houses, no one ever told them the difference. That is why this is so common in exactly the houses where people did the responsible thing and added insulation. The better you were about insulating, the more likely your vents are buried. Now, what does that cost you? Because this is where it stops being trivia. 3 things. First, summer comfort, the reason you clicked. A blocked attic runs far hotter than a breathing one, and that heat radiates down through the ceiling into the rooms below all evening. Your upstairs stays warm after sundown, and your air conditioner keeps running to fight a ceiling. Second, your roof. Shingle manufacturers have been explicit about this for years. Trapped heat cooks asphalt shingles from underneath and shortens their life. And most shingle warranties require adequate ventilation, meaning a blocked attic can quietly void the coverage you are counting on. Third, and this one surprises people because it happens in January, ice dams. When warm house air leaks into an attic that cannot flush it, the roof deck warms up, snow on the roof melts, the water runs down to the cold overhang where the roof is not warm, and it refreezes into a ridge of ice that backs water up under your shingles and into your walls. The intake vent at the eave is what keeps that overhang cold. So the same $2 part that cools your bedroom in August is the part that keeps water out of your ceiling in February. Nobody sells it that way, because there is no way to sell a $2 part. It is worth putting a shape to the numbers because the difference is not subtle. A properly breathing attic on a hot day tends to run somewhere in the neighborhood of 20 degrees above the outdoor air because that river of outside air keeps flushing it. A blocked attic can run 50 or 60 degrees above outdoor, which is exactly how a 90-degree afternoon turns into the 140-degree attic in the title. Same house, same roof, same sun. The only difference is whether air is moving. That is why this repair is unusual. Most cooling upgrades add a machine and a bill. This one just takes the restrictor out of a system that already exists and was already paid for when the house was built. Here is the check, and it takes about a minute. Wait until it is dark outside and take a good flashlight up into the attic. Go to the edges, the low corners where the roof meets the floor, and look down into the pinch. In a healthy attic, you will see a clear channel and, in daylight hours, actual daylight or a lightening at that gap. If you can see the insulation packed tight against the underside of the roof deck with no channel at all, that is a blocked vent, and you have found it. There is a second tell from the ground. Stand outside and look up under the overhang at the vent panel. If the slots are painted over or the holes are packed with dust and paint from an old spray job, the intake is choked from the outside too, and that is even simpler to fix. And a third tell if you get one warm afternoon and can stand it up there. Down at the eave near a working intake vent, you should feel the air noticeably cooler than the middle of the attic, because that is fresh outdoor air arriving. If the eave is just as hot as the peak, nothing is coming in. Everything we just did, the physics, the honest history, the part where we tell you which houses this is wrong for, is exactly how the whole book works. The passive cooling vault, 68 pages, the attic war, the shade math, the whole house method, a chapter called Help Your AC. Every method with its real cost, its honest savings, and the climate where it loses, because nothing works everywhere, and the book says so in print. $57 once at oldwaysrestored.com. If it is not useful to your house, reply to any email and we refund it without argument. You keep the book. Now, the $2 part. It is called a baffle, and some people call it a vent chute or a rafter vent. It is a simple piece of shaped plastic or cardboard, roughly the width of the space between two rafters, and it staples up against the underside of the roof deck out at the eave. Its whole job is to hold one open channel of air from the intake vent at the bottom, up past the insulation, into the open attic above. The insulation can then be pushed right out to the edge the way it should be, and the air still gets through because the baffle is holding the roof open above it. They run about $1.50 to $3 each at any home center, and you need one for every rafter bay that has an intake vent under it. On a typical house, that is somewhere between 20 and 40 of them, so the whole repair usually lands between $40 and $100 in parts for the entire house. And unlike almost every other cooling upgrade, there is nothing to power, nothing to maintain, and nothing to replace in 10 years. A couple of practical notes people always ask about. The cardboard ones are cheapest and fine in a dry attic. The rigid plastic and foam ones cost a little more and hold their shape better under blown insulation, which is the case in most retrofit attics. You want them long enough to reach from below the top of the insulation, past it, into the open attic so the channel is continuous, and they only help where an intake vent actually exists underneath. So if your soffit panels are solid with no slots at all, baffles alone will not create airflow, and adding vent panels down below is the first job instead. While you are thinking about that, here is the number that tells you whether your house has enough vent to begin with, and it is worth knowing because it is the rule the trades use. The traditional guideline is 1 square foot of net vent opening for every 150 square feet of attic floor, and it can go to 1 in 300 when the ceiling below has a proper vapor barrier and the venting is balanced. Balanced is the word that matters. The intake at the bottom and the exhaust at the top should be roughly equal, and if anything, you want slightly more intake than exhaust. Most houses in America are the opposite. Somebody added a ridge vent or a couple of box vents at the top, which is the easy visible half, and the bottom was never opened up or was later buried. That is an unbalanced attic, and here is the part that is genuinely counterintuitive. When the exhaust is starved for intake, a ridge vent can start pulling its makeup air from the nearest easy opening, which may be another roof vent, or worse, from inside your house, through the light fixtures and the attic hatch. You end up paying to cool air that gets sucked into the attic and thrown out the roof. That is why fixing the bottom is worth more than adding anything to the top. And now the part I promised in the first minute, because on this channel we always tell you where a fix loses, and this one has a real one. There is a kind of attic where opening up the eave vents would be a serious mistake, and it is becoming more common. If your attic has been spray foamed along the underside of the roof, that is a sealed or conditioned attic. It is deliberately built with no ventilation because the entire roof plane has been turned into the insulated boundary of the house and the attic is now inside the building. If you cut vents into that, you are wrecking a system that was designed on purpose, and you can cause condensation problems. Same idea if your house has a cathedral or vaulted ceiling with no attic at all above the room. Those need a very specific detail and are not a flashlight and staple gun job. There is a third one worth naming honestly. Some older homes, especially certain 1920s and 30s designs, were built with almost no roof overhang, which means there is no soffit to put an intake vent in. Those houses need a different intake, often a vent that goes in at the very bottom edge of the roof itself, and that is roofing work, not attic work. And one more piece of plain caution. Attics in summer reach temperatures that will hurt you. Work early morning or evening, wear a mask around old insulation, step only on the joists, and if the wiring up there is old or brittle, this is a good afternoon to call somebody. Nothing about a $2 part is worth a fall through a ceiling. So here is the whole thing on one shelf. Your attic is a ventilation machine that runs on nothing, and it only works if air can come in at the bottom and leave at the top. In a great many American houses, the bottom half was buried under insulation by crews who were paid to cover the floor, not to protect the airway, which is why the houses that got the most insulation are often the ones that breathe the worst. A blocked attic runs hotter all afternoon, radiates into your bedrooms all evening, cooks your shingles from underneath, and sets you up for ice dams in the winter. The check is a flashlight and 60 seconds at the low corners tonight. The repair is a baffle in every rafter bay that has a vent under it, $1 to $3 each, $40 to $100 for the whole house, and it is the rare fix that pays in both seasons. Skip all of it if your roof is spray foamed, if your ceiling's a cathedral, or if your house has no overhang to vent. Now tell me 2 things in the comments, and I read every one. First, when you go up there tonight, do you find a clear channel at the eave or insulation packed solid? And second, the year your house was built, because I have a suspicion that the worst cases are going to cluster in a particular decade of retrofits, and enough of you answering will show whether that is true. If you want the whole summer system on paper, that is the Passive Cooling Vault. 68 pages, $57 once at oldwaysrestored.com, refunded without argument if it does not earn its keep. And there is a free 2-minute test at the same site, the Fan Country test, that tells you whether your nights are dry enough to cool the house with moving air instead of the compressor. Link below. Next, the machine that used to sit in the hallway ceiling and cool an entire house for pennies after sundown. It is on your screen right now. Your attic was designed to breathe. Somebody just covered its mouth, and nobody ever told you.